to hit that like, share, and subscribe. This is our third interview with Tiffany. She's amazing. She's wonderful. I love seeing her performances. And we are in downtown Tulsa. I'm Tiffany. It's great to catch up with you.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. Thanks for coming.
Now, can we talk about this is a 2-day event? So if somebody did not get tickets tonight, we can still get tickets tomorrow.
Yes. And come, I mean, it's Easter. So I've never performed on Easter before. I've always been home cooking for family. So this is a different one for me. So I do realize it's Easter. But, go to church, do what you got to do, and then come spend the evening with us. So it's going to be a very special show.
So I love food, and you just mentioned cooking like the number one thing I love to do. Let's talk about this epic cookbook that comes out, I believe, was May 12th, correct?
Well, it's officially out May 12th. The pre-order is happening now. So you can pre-order on my website or you can pre-order on Amazon. I'm very excited to say that. And I believe Barnes & Noble as well. So all the links should be posted on tiffanytunes.com or my social is Tiffany. And on Facebook and Instagram.
I want to talk about, it's been a few years since I got to catch up with you. Last time we got to hang on Branson, Missouri. And then I got to catch up with her. Can you do a recap of the show and get to see the crowd and stuff?
Oh, gosh, it was a lot of fun. That was a really good one, wasn't it? People were ready to rock. I love it.
It was an 80s festival. And
it was an 80s festival, so lots and lots of fun.
And then I want to talk about what are some big plans for 2026?
Big plans for 2026. Still repping the cookbook. We've got a lot of cookbook tours lined up. I've got a tour with Kim Wilde. We're the kids of America. So I'm excited about that. That's going to be in the UK. And then, doing a lot of small business. I have a company called Let's End My Friend, which is all like holistic meditation. I'm living with long COVID right now, so I'm learning how to be on the road. I have a very active schedule and keep myself healthy. So that is actually becoming a little bit of a challenge. So Let's End My Friend is right on time for me. I started the company probably about 4 years ago, and that was really about mental health awareness. I've got so many fans that talk to me in meet and greets about their challenges, especially after COVID, all of that. And we were just sharing. Of course, I'm a singer-songwriter, so I'm writing songs, about my life and about experiences of being on the road. And I think that's really deepened after COVID. So many people, for me, my family's passed on. So it really, there was this deep sadness that came out of me. And just such a fragile, feeling of chaos in the world. You didn't know what was going on. Touring has not really resumed the same. It's changed a lot of my industry. Again, the reality of family members moving on and passing away. So it just really took me there. And I think that, to be quite honest with you, I think once I came out of that and then realized the financial loss that we had all had on our plate, because I lost a manager tour right after New Kids on the Block, had a new album, and you just can't get that stuff back. So, I think I had a little bit of a mini breakdown, which I'm willing to talk about now, because I just was so shaken to my core. And it took me a long time to come back from that. And I've worked really hard to pull myself out of the rear financially. Almost lost my home. So, that was like a really stressful time. And I've learned about the body and chronic stress, that just because you're like, okay, nothing's better, your body actually is holding on to it. So I started showing signs of chronic stress, fatigue, and even in my mind, I would panic all the time, massive panic attacks. And then I was diagnosed with long COVID, which is a lot of inflammation in the body. So kind of like an arthritic kind of outbreak. And I'm learning to deal with that. I've always been somebody who loves holistic medicine, Chinese medicine, but now I'm holding on for dear life, and I'm really applying it. A lot of red light method, a lot of meditation, a lot of prayer. Wearing my copper bracelets today. We're in this beautiful jewelry store. And I just met Rachel today, and she makes beautiful pieces of jewelry here in Tulsa. and her shop is called Dylan Rose. So I was on the list to actually go and buy some copper, and I walked in today and she has copper. So it was meant to be. And also just being more optimistic about the universe and planting seeds of things that we want and being more open-minded that they are around you or they will line up. Definitely a lot of prayer in my life right now. So that's what Let's In My Friend is about. So that is much more on the horizon for me next year. In fact, I just signed a deal to start doing some retreats. So fans can come with me. I will have speakers. We'll have, crystal tutorial. We'll have mental health awareness speakers, life coaches, some Reiki, and all things Zen. So I'm very excited. We're going to do it in the United States right now to start out, but then we're looking to branch out to maybe Costa Rica and other parts of the world. So I'm very excited that, these things are starting to come to me. So I'm really excited to do that next year. And of course, the cookbook will be Living Cookbook.
I have to ask a question about the cookbook. How long did it take you to write that, or was there recipes that did not make it into it?
There was recipes that didn't make it, and it's been about 3 years now. So I met Chef Alicia in Vegas about 3 years ago. And I had already been doing TIFF takeovers, which are food and music shows. So they're venues where you can come and I rework maybe one of the specialties on their menu, or they do an appetizer that I've had a recipe for, and then we do an acoustic show. So it's called TIFF Takeovers, and I've been doing that again prior to COVID very extensively when we started to come back to social distance concerts. And that was kind of the thing I was doing in 21, 22 before touring really resumed. And then I met Chef Alicia through a friend of mine who was like, hey, I see you're doing this stuff. Anyway, my friend's a chef and she's in Vegas. And I just really think you guys should meet because you're two 80s girls. We both are with guys named Mark. I'm engaged to a guy named Mark. She has a husband named Mark. And, I just think you'd be pals. So when I was out there on a show, I quickly, of course, looked Chef Alicia up, invited her down. We went after the show to just kind of have cocktails, and we got on like a house on fire. Yes, my friend Jonathan was totally right. And we were talking, since then, we've, spent like 6 months just talking on the phone. I kept going back and forth to Vegas for work. But, hanging out and getting to know her husband and her. All four of us were kind of buddies. And we started saying we should do something cooking-wise together. So we did do a TIFF takeover, and then that led to we should do a cookbook together. But what should we do? She's done cookbooks before. She's Italian. So she's, really kind of honed in on a lot of Italian food. And I'm Lebanese. So we were kind of like, well, there's something there about Mediterranean cooking. But then one night we were just out and it was like, we're two 80s girls. We should do something about the 80s. I mean, reworking 80s foods because there was a thing. There is a thing. 80s foods existed. Stouffer's Pizza, your piggies in a blanket, chicken pot pies. That was my jam after I got out from school. My mom would either purchase chicken pot pies, which we can still do today, or she would home make them, which was my favorite. So, but that was my little, doing my homework with my chicken pot pie. That was my thing. And so we started talking about 80s recipes and making them legit and, still affordable with everything that you readily have in your pantry, but zhuzhing it up just a little bit, making it a little more sexy, making it a little bit more adult, talking about Insta parties and talking about what it was like to be in the 80s. And entertaining. Our moms were both entertainers as far as they were stay-at-home moms, but they were cooks. And they loved to put on a mean party. And it wasn't just a little slap-together party. This was like fondue and, music, and everybody danced in the living room to that 8x, vinyl, whatever. And it was a thing. It was simple, but it was yet fun. And it had its own little flair. So we talk a lot about that in the cookbook. Of course, there's pictures of me that people haven't seen. There's pictures of me with my grandmothers, who were my first inspiration to some mean kitchen time. And they really, kind of supported me when I started cooking myself, just using their pots and pans and being in the kitchen. As long as I cleaned up the mess, they would always support me to make whatever dishes. And that started when I was really young and traveling all the time. I would come home and be like, I just went to Thailand and let me try to make these Thai dishes for you. Because I'd ask a lot of kitchen questions about the kitchens. Wherever I went, I always wanted to meet the chefs. And I was always, inquisitive about that stuff because I feel that food is like its own language, and it really does show the vibrancy of the people. And I always wanted to eat wherever the locals ate. I never wanted to eat in the hotels. So that was my thing. I always drug the band to like all the local restaurants. And then I would try to replicate the dishes when I got home. So yay to my grandmas who let me do that. So the book is dedicated to our grandmothers. And we're just having fun time doing, we find it funny that, we're doing some kitschy 80s stuff, having a lot of fun doing it. And it's finally out after, like I said, almost 3 years. So I'm getting my, my little spew together about my links, and it's on Amazon, Barnes and Noble, because that just happened yesterday. So I am riding such a high right now.
I do the same thing when I travel to hotels. I want to see what's popular on Google. Where are these places that nobody talks about? Because you don't know if you don't try.
No.
And then I wanted to ask, because you're an iconic singer and you've got to travel so much, is there somebody that you looked up to that you finally got to meet and get advice from?
Oh, well, Guy Fieri is definitely one of my mentors. So I got a chance to do a show with him, Rachel Ray, versus Guy Fieri, and I was on Guy's team. And he's really somebody that encouraged me to do Chopped. I couldn't do it because I was on the road, but I'd love to, circle back and do more things with Food Network for sure. And I did reach out to him to let him know that I'm doing the cookbook. And, he got a big smile on his face. His assistant called him my assistant and said, he got a huge smile on his face. He's so proud of you. So I definitely want to be sending him a cookbook because, I loved his story. I mean, again, his family just supported him in his love for cooking. So, he wasn't professionally taught. He didn't go to culinary school, but, we're foodies. So, he just followed his dreams and his family supported him. So I'm kind of doing the same thing. And I did make the final in the show for, Guy Fieri versus Rachel Ray. So, I'm just an extension of that. He said, I think there might be something here. And I took that very to heart and very serious. And I just love it. Cooking is a way for me to decompress. And I love entertaining, and I love gathering people. I love feeding people. And I love looking around and having people, especially because I travel so much. It's the one thing I do. I rent an Airbnb, and I love to cook for the band. And just seeing people being comforted and just, talking and sharing that moment. It's fulfilling for me.
Speaking of food, the very first time I met you was in Joplin. There was an event. At the end of the show, I was doing all of your assistant stuff. You loading your stuff into the luggage, and then you invited me to dinner to an Italian restaurant. So I was not expecting that.
No, I'm always like, come on, let's go eat. It's such a bonding to be with people, and I think that I started that early on when I traveled again. 14, 15, and 16. I've been on the road for a long time now, and I always felt responsible for the band. People who tomorrow will be Easter, so Pete has a family, and my fiance, of course, I'm his family, but usually we're at home with family. So tomorrow we'll probably get up and have a nice little breakfast. I have a little plan at the park. Some meditation's going to go down just so we can have a little moment for Easter moment. And then we're going to rock a show. But, I used to take the band all the time. If we were out for Thanksgiving or any of that, I used to, rent out a restaurant and try to make it at least, an acknowledgement of the holiday because we're not with our families. So, it was just something that I felt was a bonding moment, and good food definitely does that.
So our last question here, social media, how people are going to find you. We have your Facebook, we have the Instagram, websites, anything else we need to plug?
Well, you can follow my TikTok and definitely go to tiffanytunes.com for all things Tiff World. And that will have all the events that I'm doing, all the up and coming. And of course, my socials, Let's Zen My Friend. And most importantly, Let's Food with Tiffany.
There we go.